Thank you for downloading the xTex software trial. In this video, I will show you a few things you need to know in order to import an external image into the xTex software in order to test our tiling and recoloring features. Let's jump right into the software. When you open up the xTex software, you will see the default blank screen here. Now, there are two different ways we can evaluate the software. If you come up here to the top toolbar and click Help and come down to Examples, the first option is to just load one of these sample projects. These are full sample projects created using the xTex hardware in conjunction with the xTex software. So this is a good way to fully evaluate the texture map generation capabilities of xTex. So any of these can also be used to test out the tiling and the recoloring tools that I'm going to show here in a minute. The other option is to bring in your own external image. So you can bring in a single image into xTex and it can generate various maps based on the coloring of that image. Now, a very important note on that is when the xTex hardware generates all of these maps over here on the right-hand side, it does so using various lighting positions and multiple photos. Whereas bringing in a single image only has the coloring, the pixels that are in the image itself to generate maps. So you are going to get far superior results and much more accurate results when using the xTex hardware, but we can still generate some useful maps with a single image. On that note, what most people find to be most useful is, from a single image anyway, is the color, the normal, and the transparency. Now, you only need to generate what you need, so if you don't need your normal map or transparency, you can deselect those, which is what I'm going to do for this example. I do want to show two preferences here, though, that are very helpful when generating the normal or the transparency map. So I can come up here to Edit, Preferences, and if I click on the second tab from the left here, which is our Texture Preferences, if you are going to generate a normal map from a single image, you can get much better results by enabling the normal adjustments option. What this does is once you drag in an image, before it finalizes the normal map that it's generating, it brings up a preview window which shows you the normal map. It shows you several adjustment sliders as well as a 3D preview to show the shading. So you can greatly improve the results by fine-tuning the normal map with that option. The other option is if you are looking to create a transparency map from a single image, if you take a photo of your fabric with a specific color behind it so that color shows through where all the holes should be, you can put in the hex values or the RGB value of that color right here in the preferences, and xTex will automatically remove that color from the image and generate holes where that color was. So that's a good way to automatically create transparency from a single image. So I will just back out of that though, since I am only going to bring in the base color. We're not going to worry about those other maps for this overview. And I will just drag in my external image into the window here. xTex will now import that and show a preview. Once that has been loaded, this is what we see here. It's just a preview of exactly what you brought into the software. The first thing I'm going to do is jump over into our tiling screen. So on the left-hand side, I can click the tile icon, and it will open up that tile screen. On the tiling screen, you can see a couple things here. On the left-hand side, I have my selection preview. So right now it's defaulting to selecting the entire image that I brought in. And on the right-hand side is a preview of what it would look like when it's tiled. You can see right now that it is not seamless at all. So the first thing we'll look at is just manually moving things around. So I can manually select on the left-hand side here these little boxes to drag my selection around. I can grab the corners, I can rotate the box. You can do a bunch of different things to manually select and tile. So I could just, I could get this close here. And you could manually tweak this until it looked better. But we also have an automatic stitching algorithm. That's the first of 3 algorithms that we have that can make your life a lot easier. So you just need to get it close And on the right-hand side, click that Automatic Tiling Enabled checkbox, and it will look at your selection. It'll look inside and out and try to blend those edges together. So you can see we have very nice results already. This stitching is what you would use if you bring in an image of, or capture an image with our hardware of a single repeat. Keep in mind that if you're doing a single repeat, make sure you have a little extra buffer all the way around that repeat. It lets our software work with that tiling. It lets the algorithms work a lot better to make a seamless tile. Now, for something like this that we're looking at, this has many instances of a repeating pattern in my selection. So I will actually, on the right-hand side, instead of stitching, I'm going to choose pattern recognition. And what it's going to do is find a bunch of instances on the left-hand side, inside of my selection, of the actual pattern repeat. And then on the right-hand side, by default, we can see that it's going to recreate a new 4K texture by tiling these repeats randomly over that new texture. So it produces very nice, seamless, and natural-looking results. This works well for something like we're looking at here. It also works really well for solid colors, where you can see the weave of the fabric fibers. So this is looking good. When you want to quickly preview this on a 3D object, if you want to see how that looks tiled over a simple 3D object, on the bottom toolbar on the right-hand side, there is this little cube that you can click. It will pop you over into our 3D preview window. And then if I click shader settings at the bottom, I can adjust this UV repeat bar to see what it looks like repeated over a larger area. And this is looking very nice. One additional algorithm that we have, if you are working with something like a leather or a heather material that has a much more organic look, and it is not it's not a rigid pattern. Our synthesis algorithm here on the right-hand side works very much like what I just showed you with the pattern recognition, but instead of pulling out individual patterns, it randomly samples from your selection on the left and tiles it and blends the edges. So that's very nice, again, for more organic materials. When I'm happy with the tiling results, I can come over here on the left-hand side and click this green check mark, and it will finalize the tiling. After tiling, you are left with the results. This should be a seamlessly tiling texture now. At this point, you can go to File, Save, and save as an xTex project file, or you can just directly export the texture by going to File, Export Textures. The other feature that you might want to test out, though, is our recolor tool. So on the left-hand side here, if I click the recolor icon, I will expand that window. On the left-hand side, we have our original. On the right-hand side, we'll show the recolor results. What this is doing right now is it is automatically searching for all the different colors available in your image, and it is separating them out into sections or masks. And this will allow you to select each individual section. Over here on the left-hand side, if I hover over one of these colors, you can see it highlights what it's going to change. I can click that color, change it to something else, click OK, and it will swap that color out. You'll see the results on the right-hand side. And it does a really good job of keeping the details while swapping out the color. Additionally, you could go to File, Load Swatches, and you can import in pre-made Adobe color swatches so that you can just pick the exact color you want from those swatches and swap out colors as needed. You can then go to File, Save As, and it will save out this texture for you, and then you can recolor the next one. So you can do this as many times as needed until you have all your different variations. So that's it for the basic overview of the xTex software trial and our tiling and recoloring tools. If you have any questions about any of these individual features, or if you want to learn more about how our software works in conjunction with our capture hardware, please reach out to us and we would be happy to help.